So I think one of the biggest questions that I think I receive from people is people worrying about if they wake up or if they really let go, that they will stop working or they'll stop with their career. And yeah, they'll just lose energy or they'll lose momentum to work. And the trick is that you perceive life incorrectly because you assume it's your job to make money. You assume that it's down to you to make money. And then you have this relationship with money, this relationship with work, but it's never your job to make money. Money happens. Money comes. A job comes. And job happens. And it's not your job to create or make your job. Your job is to be. That's it. And there has to be absolute conviction in this. That the only place to act from is now, is here, is in presence. And that acting from time will never bring you true success and never really bring you safety or freedom. You see, you can work at a job your whole life. You can work really hard and you can produce more and more money. But if you don't feel like you're at home, so if you're still seeking for truth, then the money will never be enough. You'll always feel like you're poor, and you'll never feel like you make it. So the most important thing to happen is not you thinking, okay, but if I give up, money won't happen. The most important thing to happen is to give up, is to surrender back into what you are, which is freedom. Which is this. That's the freedom. And then money and your job and your career will work its way out, not the other way around. You see, it's never going to work. You're never going to get to feel rich when you're separate. You'll always feel poor. You'll always feel like you don't have enough security and that you have to find that security in time. This has to be an absolute trust, an absolute surrender back into what you are. Absolute trust that whatever happens is exactly what's meant to happen and is the best thing that could possibly happen and is coming from you. It's coming from who you truly are. So therefore it's love, absolute love. Absolute intimacy. And that has to be the conviction. that this is who you are, what is who you are, and you have to forget about life on the intellectual level, on the human level. You have to forget it, give it back to the divine. Just this, just what's happening right now, and deal with all your problems right now head on, but they're not problems because they're coming from this. They're coming from who you are, so nothing can ever be a problem. You can call them problems, so like if you have difficulties with your computer or you have difficulties with friends, but that's only words for them. Really, there are no problems, there is only this, and this is free. This is love, a complete surrender to this love, to what you are. There is nothing you need to do but give your heart to this, totally, to the sound of my voice, to the feeling of your bum on the seat, to the smell, to the air, to the breeze, to the sensations. This is what is. And then let everything else take care of itself. And when you're dealing with that, you deal with that. You totally trust that it will be taken care of. It's not even you need to do that, it's just that your nature is trust. You stop trying to fix it in time, in this illusory sense of you. You can give everything back. There's nothing that you need to hold on to. Just be. And this is your altar, this is your God. This is the God. Not getting it in time, not making sure you have a career in time. Just this. Just this. Following this and following that, which brings the expansion, which moves towards the expansion. This is all that's important. Who you are is all that's important right here, right now. So the way you produce money, the way you should always produce money, is by moving towards that which feels expansive, which feels like love. Not that which makes you feel tight or contracted, but that which makes you feel like love. Because that's who you are. That's all you need to do is follow that, the expansion. And it's not really you following it, because who would follow it? It's just always moving in love, moving with love. Maybe on the human level it feels like following love. Just moving towards that which is expansive. So if going to your work makes you feel contracted and tight, there has to be a questioning as to why you do that and what actually it is you want. And the way you know what you want is by that which opens your heart, which is opening your heart. But sometimes that can be confusing when you're really identified, because when you're really identified, or when strong emotions are coming up, then everything feels confusing. You're not sure what's what, or what feels like what. And so say if you have negative feelings about money, then maybe going to your work, and maybe your work does make you feel expansive, but because of the negative feelings around work or authority, that feels confusing. So if you want to work through any of that, we can speak on Skype in a minute. Hey, Thomas. Is my volume still too low? Let me know. I've had to do this in such a rush because everything crashed, so I had to reinstall everything. So I'm going blind, so let me know. Hi, Francisca. Hi, Lisa. I really like your constantly changing ways of communication because that's actually the clue to this no-thingness. Just recently, that got me. When I listen to these old edited talks, you leave no room for any new build-ups. Thank you for sharing. My pleasure. Yeah, maybe the camera is worse than normal. I just didn't have time to reload everything properly. I had massive meltdown of computers today. It happens. So it might not be as good a quality. I suspect that I've ended up getting the wrong settings in my streaming system. It's perfect now. Oh, cool. It's absolutely perfect. I might have changed it in the meantime when I found out it was too high or low. Hey ho. Oh, it's too much now. Okay, I'm going blind. I'm doing it all blind. So this is the only thing that's important, what's actually happening. Absolute intimacy. This doesn't mean a cutting off of feelings. I'm not talking about ignoring what you feel. What you feel is here. What you feel is what's happening. So this isn't like a ignoring of the human part. It's absolute intimacy with the human, with what's happening. So if you feel sad, there is sadness. If you feel happy, there is happiness. If you feel anger, there is anger. If you feel pride, there is pride. There's just what's happening. And there's an absolute freedom is an absolute surrender to this, giving into it. That there is only this, letting this move you rather than your ideas of you moving you. Just letting this move you. There's nothing you need to worry about. Life is taking care of itself. You don't need to get involved. The thinking mind is only about fixing problems in the moment. The illusory you, the one that's formed, that believes it's experiencing life, doesn't need to be involved. And who are you right here? Who is this you that's right here, that sits here and says, but Lisa, but Lisa, but Lisa, who is this? See that that's being experienced, that that's not the experiencer, that that's not who you are. It's a thought appearing. Who you are is this vastness, is this stillness, is this emptiness. And on the human level, it can just surrender back to this. There is nothing it needs to do. There is nowhere it needs to go. Life is happening. You don't need to put any effort into being conscious of it. It's a happening. The breathing's happening, the heartbeat is happening, the speaking is happening, the hearing is happening. And then the person sits there and is like, me, I've got to control, and it imagines all these future problems that it's got to control. You don't have any problems here. There are no problems here. There is no problem here. There isn't a problem here. You're free. Everything is free. Okay, so if anyone wants to speak on Skype,